Hi everybody, welcome to Cap at Home. I'm Miss Rachel and today we are going to finish up our explosion boxes. So let's hop on over to the table and get started. Alrighty, so before we jump right in, I want to acknowledge our sponsors. Thank you to the Community Education Commission of the City of Detroit and General Motors for sponsoring our Cap at Home and Gold Detroit art tutorials that we do every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week. So we're making a explosion box, and this is what we did last week. So if you weren't here last week, you can always look at our library of videos on Facebook or even on Instagram or YouTube. So just go ahead and look for my video from last week and you'll see how to get to this point. So here's the box that we made last week. We have a top. It's not put together yet or not glued together yet. I'm keeping it together with paper clips. And then when you open it, you get all of these layers of fun stuff. So last week it didn't have all of these decorative papers and stuff in there, but that's kind of getting us ready for this week. So we'll get into that a little bit later. First, we'll need some supplies. So we have our box from last week. You should also have some decorative papers. That can be construction paper. If you don't have scrapbook paper or something like that, you can use drawings that you made yourself. I created this and then I just cut it up into tiny small squares to add to my box. So you can make your own decorative paper. It doesn't have to be fancy cardstock or anything like that. You can even use magazine papers. I've seen people add pictures of themselves or their friends or whoever they're giving it to in the box, so be creative. You can also have different kinds of embellishments like stickers or sequins or something. Anything you want to add that you can glue down will be something nice to put in the box. You will also need some scissors, a pencil, rulers. If you're not using scissors and you have a cutting mat and a metal ruler, you can also use a breakaway blade like I'm going to be using. You may need an eraser. You'll need glue. It depends on your preference. You can use glue sticks. You can use Elmer's glue, whatever works for paper that you have available to you. And then I think you are about ready to get started. So today I'm going to show you 3 different things that you can put into your explosion box. These are not all of the ways that you can decorate your explosion box. You can get creative as you want. You can use these, you cannot use these. But I'm going to just help you out and give you 3 different things that you can do to punch up the inside of your explosion box. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to make is a tunnel card. And in order to do that, I'm going to use my blank papers, my blank construction paper. And I'm going to take a few things out of my explosion box so I can show you how to measure to get ready to make this card. So remember, all of our layers are individual at this point. So you should be able to separate your largest layer, the bottom layer, from everything else to help you make this card. My biggest box has sides that are, let's see, I think these are 4-inch squares. Yep, when I measure this, this is a 4-inch by 4-inch square. So everything that I make to decorate these squares is going to be smaller than that. So I've added some just other construction paper in there, and I measured it down to be 3 inches and 3/4 or 3 3/4 inches, and then added that in there. So some things you can add into your actual explosion box without making another card like that. You can just put decorative papers in there that are a little bit smaller than the side squares, and that will help fill up your box, because trying to decorate every single flap is going to be a lot. So you'll want to make sure that you do some things that are a little bit easier and don't require as much folding and gluing and all that kind of stuff. So for this, I've added some regular papers to the side, and I'm going to add a tunnel card. And because I know this is 4 inches by 4 inches, I am going to start cutting out my card. I'm going to start with an 8 by 4 inch strip of paper, because when I fold that 8 inches in half, it will be 4 by 4 inches. So I'll show you what I mean there. So I have this regular sheet of construction paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a 9 by 12 sheet of construction paper. So I'm going to cut a 4-inch strip from it over here using my handy dandy cutting mat. Then I'm going to cut an inch off, because this is 9 inches and not 8 inches. So we did a lot of measuring last week, and I showed you how to measure paper to cut and things like that. So if you need some insight on how to measure what you're working on, be sure to go to our library of videos to get more information. So this is an 8 by 4 inch strip. I'm going to fold this in half. And I'm going to crease that down the best I can. If I really want to get that crease in there, I'm going to use the back of my scissors as a scoring tool. And a scoring tool is just something that helps you fold stuff really, really well. So I have the outside of the card here. I'm going to set that to the side. Now I'm going to cut a strip that is about the same size, but just a 1/4 inch smaller. So you need to make sure you have some space to do all of this. So instead of 8 by 4 inches, I'm going to do 7 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So let's do that. I'm going to measure and use my ruler to make my marks at the top and bottom, or top and bottom of the paper. So I'm doing 3. I have my ruler lined up to 3 inches and 3/4, and I'm making a mark there. And I'm going to go do the same thing the other side of the paper. 3 3/4 inches, making a mark. And I'm going to connect those 2 marks with my ruler and then cut it with my breakaway blade. And I think I've said in other videos that when you use a blade like this, you have to have a mat to protect your work area. So if you don't have a mat to protect your work area, then don't go using a blade, because you're just going to cut up your actual workspace, the table. So, and if you have a mat, then make sure you are using your blade safely and retracting it when you're not using it. So along this longer edge is 9 inches, and I need it to be 7 3/4 of an inch. So I've lined up the 0 mark over here in the corner, and I'm making a mark at 7 3/4 on my ruler at the top and at the bottom of the page. And then I'm going to connect those 2 little marks. And you guessed it, I'm going to cut it out. There we go. Make sure my fingers are away from the blade and retract it when I'm done. Cool. So now I have a paper that is a little bit smaller than the outside of my card, which is what I want. So good. And I'm going to fold the smaller paper in half. And this is the inside that's going to be the tunnel for my card. And you'll understand what that means in just a little bit. I'm going to use this scissors to really crease that down. So for the smaller piece, I'm going to fold this in half one more time. I'm going to take the crease edge along and fold it along the open edge. Just like this. And I'm just going to crease it just a little bit. I don't need a really hard crease, so I'm not going to use my rulers. And then I'm going to open it back up. And now I'm going to cut a shape along this creased edge. And I'm going to cut half of my shape here so that when I open it up, I get the full shape. So since this is for Valentine's Day, I guess I'll cut a heart. And this shape can be whatever you want. And if you need to draw it out first on your paper, you can do that. But I cut a heart out. And I can save this to decorate somewhere else in my box later on. So I'm going to put it to the side and not in the trash can right now. And now when I open up my paper, I have a heart tunnel. So the next thing I'll need to do is decorate the inside of this card. So you can decorate it however you want. You may want to grab some markers, crayons, or colored pencils. And I'll just quickly write something inside of the card. I'm lining it up to how I want it to be when it's open, kind of. So I know where the middle is and what I'll be able to see. And I'll just write, I love you, because that's something that people say a lot on Valentine's Day, right? So you can get as jazzy as you want with this, but for the sake of this example, I'm just going to keep moving forward. You can decorate the big card and the little card. Now we're going to kind of mess with the little card a little more. So we have these folds, and this one fold here that's going out, we call a mountain fold. And this one over here, which is coming back toward me, we call a valley fold. But we need them to both be mountain folds. I need them to both go that way. And the way to do that is just to fold it back the opposite way, right along the same fold. Crease it down. There we go. So now both of the folds go that way. Actually, we need them actually to go the other way. So fold it back. So they're valley folds. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to fold my card the other way. So right now I have it so that the middle of the tunnel is coming up and out. So that is my mountain fold. And then these pieces back here are going down. So they're my valley folds. So mountain in the middle, valleys on the side. And now we want to kind of eyeball where we want our card to stick so that you can still see the design in the middle. And you can kind of just close it and see if it's looking okay on the outside. Nothing is sticking out on the outside. And when I open it, I get to see what I wrote in there. So that looks good. So there's no real specific measurements that I'm going to give you to do this, because you can eyeball it and get what you want. So after you have decided where to place it, you'll use your glue. And you'll only put glue on these pieces here so that they attach to the outer card and kind of pop up when you open it. So this will look really great once you take your time and decorate it and draw all of your pictures, or even if you decide to use more decorative paper that has a design on it, you can really make it look super interesting and super fun. And I'm going to bring my outer card here. And I like this because it doesn't need to be super duper precise. You can get a really good card without having to do like a whole lot of measuring or math compared to other cards. So I'm going to close it and crease everything down. And then when you open it, you kind of get that tunnel and you can see what it says on the inside of the card. So I think that's a pretty simple card that you can just add directly to your explosion box. So at this point, you could go ahead and glue that down to the side that you want it to be on, and you'll have to make sure you're paying attention to which way you're gluing it so that it opens up the way that you want it to. And that is completely up to you. It's your preference. There's no right or wrong way to do that. So once you're happy with the card, glue it down to your explosion box and finish decorating one layer, and then move on to the next one. So let me dump all this stuff off my second layer. You'll see on this one I added some of my decorative papers that I actually just made by drawing on construction paper. And for this these layers, hopefully this is out of the way. Cool. I made an accordion folded kind of banner. So I'll show you how to do this. This is super simple. All you will need is some paper. It can be decorative paper, it can be plain, but you'll want to make sure when you're cutting the strip of paper that it will fit within the box. Let me just flip this. It will fit inside the side of the box. So you'll want to make sure you measure your box again. This is my second layer, so it's not 4 inches. These boxes are 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So you'll want to cut your strip of paper down so that it is at least 3.5 inches wide, or I'm sorry, at the most 3.5 inches wide. But because I don't want it to be as big as the box, I'm going to cut it smaller. So instead of 3.5 inches wide, I'll do 3 inches so that it fits within my box. Oops. Okay. So I'm using the guides on my cutting mat to do this, but you guys can use my measuring technique that I do all the time, where you mark it at the top and at the bottom and then match the marks and cut it out. So I want my ladder to have quite a few steps, and I know that if I fold this to be a square, and then I'll get 3 steps, because this is 9 inches long and this is 3 inches wide, so I can get 3, 6, and 9, which will be, let me show you what I mean, 3 steps. It will be 3, 6, and 9. So I'm going to cut another strip this same size so that I can glue it to this strip, make it longer so that I can get a long ladder like this. So I'm just going to slide this to the side and do what I just did, cut 2 strips. And your ladder can have as many steps as you want. It doesn't have to be 5. It could be 20 if you want. It just you'll just have to cut that many strips out and glue them all together. So there we go. So the way that you can get your evenly spaced steps is by doing the measuring again, or you can eyeball it. It doesn't need to be perfect, but if you do want to measure, then you can make a mark at 3 and 6, and then 9 is at the end, so that I don't need an extra mark there. And do the same thing here. 3 and 6. And then you'll use those marks to kind of just crease your paper right on the marks. Just like that. Find the marks, make your little creases. There you go. I'm going to set that to the side and do the same thing for my other strip. And then I'll have a little ladder. And you can make as many of these as you like and add them to the different layers of the box. You'll change your measurements up a little bit, but I think this is also a pretty simple way to add some more pop-outs to your explosion box. So there we go. So now that I have these 2 strips, I can just glue the ends together here. So one of my little steps will have like a pretty thick square, but that's not a problem for me. So there you go. Just use your glue stick or your Elmer's glue, whichever you like. Put a little bit of glue in there. Line up your strips and glue them together. And once you have it glued together, you can fold it back and forth whichever way makes sense to you. And there you go. So once you have this together, you will glue it to one of the squares of your box, just like that. So, and it can go on either side. One reason that I had you guys keep all of these layers apart was so that you can decorate the front and the back easily, but you don't have to decorate every single layer. It's up to you. So, I'm going to put those two together and put my little accordion pieces there and move that off to the side. Okay. Now I have my smallest layer, and I've already done some embellishing here. So right here, I just cut a small square, a square that's smaller than the box. And then I used my, my knife tool here to cut out an opening on 3 sides here, and it flips up like a little box. What do you call it? Picture frame. So I like that, and that's a pretty simple way to add some pop-up features to your box. And these are stickers from the Dollar Tree. They're flower stickers that I just added on top of some square cutouts that I added here. And then this box, it kind of took me a little finagling to do. So, and I'm not really crazy about it, but that is an idea. If that's something you want to do, let us know. And I can come back and show you how to add something like this to your box. But I'm going to show you another really simple pull-out instead. So if you remember earlier, we cut out this heart from our tunnel. So one thing you can do is cut out like 5 or 6 of these and add them together to become like a banner. So to do that, you can use the heart and trace it on your paper 5 or 6 times with your pencil. And this is why I say have an eraser, just in case you don't make it perfect each time. And I'm going to fold my paper a couple times and just see how many I can get by stacking these up and folding them. So it looks like I'll be able to cut out 4 at once. There we go. And you can cut out as many shapes as you want. It doesn't have to be 5. That's just kind of my go-to number today. So, and if you want to do this with string, you can, but I'm going to use a strip of paper to connect these because we have so much paper in this project. I'm sure you'll have extra to make a little strip like I do. So I have my 5 shapes, 1, 2, 3, 4 that I just cut out, and then the 5th one from earlier. And now I'm just going to cut a small little strip of paper. And it doesn't need to be an exact size. I'm just going to use this because it is quick to me. And I'm going to cut out a couple strips because I think I want it longer than just that one. And one more just in case. Okay. So now I'm going to line these up on one of my, or line these up on a couple of my strips like this and glue them down. And you'll see I only have 3 here, so I'll just kind of slide that over. Add another strip to it so I can add my final 2 hearts. And I'll start gluing. I'm going to put glue on the strip and then stick it to the heart because I think that will be the easiest way to get this all put together. So take your strip, put some glue on there, and stick it down. And I think I'm going to add the other one to this side. So it's up to you how you do it. There's no formula for the way I'm doing it. I'm just kind of going with what I feel like doing. And I'm going to flip it back over. And I'm going to add glue to both of these strips because these 2 strips are going to be attached to one heart like this. I'm going to put them together like that and then stick the heart on top of it. So now it kind of looks like all one strip. There we go. And continue adding my hearts. And once I get done with this, I'm going to kind of fold it the way that I did my accordion ladder, the one I just showed you, so it can collapse all onto itself and fit inside of the box. So here we go. Oops. And as you're doing this at home, you'll want to give it a little time to dry so nothing pops off. But for the sake of this video and our time, I'm going to fold it together. Just kind of lining up my hearts and then folding the paper in between down. There we go. There we go. Putting that like that and then folding it down. And voila! You have another little pop-out ladder. So I'm going to add this one to my outer box because I have decorations on the inside one already. Go back to my outside one because I still have an opening there. And I would just glue this heart down to the middle of that and then fold them back and forth on top of each other so that I could collapse my box like that. So there you have it, 3 different ways that you can add some pizzazz to your explosion box. And as you can see, decorating all of these layers will definitely take some time. So make sure that if you don't get to finish this all at once, that you have your little baggie full of your scrap papers and you can store it somewhere so that you can come back to it later on and finish things up the way that you like. So before I get out of here, I want to show you how to put all of this together. You're going to start, you can start with any layer you want, but make sure you have them in order. And you will add glue to the middle here and then glue it right down to the piece directly under it. And you're only going to add glue to the middle so that they will stick together. And then you'll do that for each layer. And then close it up and you'll put your top on. And the way that you finish up your top, pop that off. If you have paper clips on it like I do, you'll take those off. And you're going to add glue right here. Let's grab some glue. Put it right on the little square tab. And then join it to the longer side right next to it. Just like that. And hold it in place. If you have paper clips, putting the paper clip there will help that glue attach to the paper and stick on there. And you'll do that for each tab. that you have, and go all the way around until your box top is complete and all together. So I'm going to put my little paper clips back on because I still have a lot of decorating to do. So hopefully you are working this out on your own time and getting your box done so that you can give it to somebody for the holiday next week. And if you need any more pointers or help or anything like that, make sure you drop us a line in the comments, because we are here to help, and I can definitely help guide you through finishing your explosion box. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to come back to Cap at Home tomorrow, the next day, and the next day for more art tutorials. And thank you again to our sponsors, Community Education Commission of the City of Detroit and General Motors. Be sure to check out all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more upcoming videos, and even to watch our previous videos where you can figure out how to make this box from the beginning, or plenty of other things that we have stored up for you. Thank you so much for joining me, and happy crafting. Bye!